Hello vinyl community, Midge here, a guy in a Christmas hat who loves to talk about his favourite records of 2025, and that is the aim of today's video. So it's mid-December, it's getting towards the end of the year, and I thought I'd go through my favourite albums of the year. I love best of albums lists that come out at this time of year. I go through all the YouTube ones, I watch a lot of those. I read a lot of music magazine best of lists. I just love them. They're a great way of discovering new music or things that you might have missed. And that is the aim of my video today. I'm going to go through all my favourite albums of the year and hopefully give you some recommendations and tips, because, you know, that's why I'm here. I love passing on music or music I consider good, giving you some tips and recommendations. And if you pick something up as a result of this video or any video I make, I'll be well chuffed, absolutely well chuffed. So I know these days you have to put quite a few disclaimers in these videos, I've noticed. So, you know, I'm not claiming I've heard every single album that was released in 2025. So, you know, these are just my favourites. These are albums that genuinely, I'm not picking them because they make me look cool, although, you know, I'm cool enough, aren't I, really? But, you know, I'm not picking them to be trendy. These are genuinely, as you'll probably see in the list, but these are genuinely albums that I've played the most this year, that I've absolutely loved, that I keep coming back to, and my favourites. And these are the ones I just want to pass on and just hopefully give a bigger audience, or point someone in the direction of them, and hopefully they'll enjoy them just as much as me. So yeah, these are my favourite albums of 2025. So I'm going to count down from 20 to 11. Hopefully not go into too much waffle, but hopefully give you some idea of the flavour of them, hopefully, in my bumbling, stumbling kind of way. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So let's start the countdown, 20 to 11. Da, 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 da. At number 20, we've got Apta and the Pool. This is Manchester-based electronic artist Apta. This is his Pool album for the Wonderful Castles in Space label. And it's sort of like a really cool ambient type drifting electronica album. There's lots of analog synths. There's lots of intricate synthetic percussion on it, and it's a beautiful, dreamy, melodic electronic album. And pardon the pun, but it really does wash over you. It's just such a superb listen. There's lots of melody, and it's just a beautiful ambient type atmosphere he creates on here. Really melodic, really gentle, and just a really beautiful album, as well as having really beautiful artwork by Zeke Clough. Just a beautiful album. So at 20, it's Apta and the Pool. Next at number 19, I hope I don't butcher his name too much, but this is the debut album by Antony Szmierek, and it's Service Station at the End of the Universe. Antony is a Manchester-based poet and spoken word artist, and this is an album full of his observations on life. He talks about anxieties, relationships, Manchester areas, everyday life, and it's a really cool sort of different type of album. He's obviously speaking his poems and his observations over backing tracks. The backing tracks are really upbeat. They're sort of like really dance floor orientated, sort of like the sort of music you'd hear in clubs. So it's got a really sort of upbeat, optimistic type music. And it's just a great listen. He's a really sort of like, you really sort of feel for him. He's got a really sort of charming, charismatic, witty way of talking about life in general. There's a track called Rafters, which is basically about him observing a piece of confetti falling from a rafters, and it's sort of like it goes on to become a bigger picture about his observations on life and things like that. So it's a really great listen. It's sort of like got an aura of the streets about it, so it's got that sort of vibe to it. But yeah, it's really heart on sleeve, sort of really sort of honest, and yeah, really observational. It's really great, but with some great backing tracks as well. So I really enjoyed that. That's really worth checking out if you fancy something a bit different. So that's Antony Szmierek and Service Station at the End of the Universe. So 18, a band that I really like. They've not released anything for about 5 years, so this is great to see them back. And this is the Glasgow band Sacred Paws, and this is Jump Into Life. their second album on Mogwai's Rock Action label. And they're a two-piece band. You've got Ray Aggs on vocals and guitar and Ailey Rogers on vocals and drums. And their sound is just sublime. It's sort of like a mixture of Afrobeat, Caribbean styles, indie rock, pop, and it's just such a joyous, uplifting sound. They've got, you know, when you listen to their music, it just instantly makes you feel summery and upbeat and better. And like I said, this is their first album in 5 years. Ray Aggs has got such a great vocal style, and she's her guitar style is really unique as well, because she sort of plays like flurries of notes. So it's really infectious, really upbeat. Ailey Rogers' drumming patterns are really sort of busy and sort of upbeat and fast. And it's just a really great listen, really sort of summery, upbeat listen, and just uplifting indie pop. So yeah, really great to see them back. Sacred Paws and Jump Into Life. Great album. At 17, we've got an album that was released in January, and I still enjoy listening to it. And it's a debut album by the Lambrini girls, Who Let the Dogs Out, another two-piece band. You've got Phoebe Lunny and Lily Massiera, and this is sort of like a really intense blast of punk, quite furious and angry at times, very raw, but there's lots of hooks, and it's quite danceable in a moshy kind of way. Tackles a lot of serious subjects. You've got police corruption, you've got sexual harassment in the workplace, you've got toxic masculinity, but there's a great deal of humour in the lyrics as well, which I think, which sort of gives it, it's not too serious, you don't get bogged down in the seriousness of the subjects. It's quite amusing the way how they tackle some of these subjects as well, but there's loads of hooks, loads of great songs, favourites, Big Dick Energy, Nothing Tastes As Good As It Feels, Company Culture, and it ends on the song Cuntology 101, which sort of tries to reclaim the word that begins with C. And I don't think I've ever heard on vinyl somebody mention the C word as much as the last Derek and Clive album I've listened to. So it's just a great ball of fun, lots of punk edges, look very raw, but a lot of fun as well. So yeah, debut by the Lambrini girls, Who Let the Dogs Out, at 17. At 16, we have the Swedish artist Sven Wunder and his latest album, Daybreak. I think it's his 5th album. And if you've never heard Sven Wunder before, he makes sort of instrumental music. It's very 60s orientated. It sounds like the best easy listening albums that you'll ever pick up. And it's a kind of music that crate diggers dream of finding in dusty old record shops. It's brilliant for sampling. There's lots of like heavy beats. There's lots of strings. There's lots of sort of plucked bass sounds like you used to get on 60s records. And it obviously heavily influenced by library records. It sounds, if you like David Axelrod and that sort of ilk, it's just that sort of music. It's sampled by hip-hop artists. In fact, Sven Wunder's actually worked with hip-hop artists. No surprises there, because the music he makes, it's just ripe for sampling. It just sounds like, you know, your dream easy listening album that you would find in a second-hand record shop or, you know, some sort of dusty warehouse. It's sort of got really filmic quality. It uses a lot of strings, and like I say, it's just so melodic as well. It's just beautifully melodic. Obviously it takes a lot of cues from library records and things like that, but the melodies are so gorgeous, and it's, you know, it's got all the things that make great library records, you know, great bass lines, great beats, and lots of melody. I can't recommend this highly enough. If you've never heard of Sven Wunder, this is a great album to check out. It's his 5th album, so yeah, Daybreak by Sven Wunder at 16. Okay, pop pickers. In at number 15, we have the 6th album from another electronic artist, and this is the wonderfully named Warrington-Runcorn Newtown Development Plan, Public Works and Utilities. Another electronic artist. His music tends to be quite dark and brooding, but there's plenty of melody there as well. Uses obviously vintage analog synths to make a lot of the music, and he creates such a great atmosphere. And if you've never heard his stuff before, it's all instrumental, but it's quite political in terms of he uses sort of like the example of the new towns of the 50s and 60s, and how everything was geared towards the public and the services that they required, and that everything was for the people, and how far we've come really in terms of the fact that nowadays everything's sold off, it's run for a profit, and the people basically the last things that are considered in any of the services. So it is quite political, even though it's instrumental. And every album he releases, it focuses on another aspect of town planning. It sounds bizarre, but it really works. So this is public works and utilities, and like I say, it continues his sort of brilliantly melodic, brooding electronica, but he takes it a step further this time. There's a track that takes up the entire side of side B, and it's like an 18-minute track called The People Matter. And it's a superb sort of like Kraftwerk inspired instrumental that slowly builds and builds, and it's just superb. You never get tired. It's sort of it does connect together really well. It was a one long piece of music, so he's gone all a bit Tangerine Dream on this album. But yeah, Gordon Chapman Fox, the guy behind this, he just goes from strength to strength. Every album he brings out seems to build on the last one, and this one is no sort of no exception. It's superb album. Again, on the wonderful Castles in Space label. That's Warrington-Runcorn New Town Development Plan. So at number 14, a band I unashamedly love and think more people should be into them. Absolutely fantastic band live. Don't take themselves too seriously, but this is a really strong album, and it's The Darkness, Dreams on Toast. And I think this is their strongest album since their first album, Permission to Land. It's absolutely superb. It's their 8th album, believe it or not, and it's full of top tunes. The opener, Rock and Roll Party Cowboy, is a blistering rock anthem that kicks everything off, and it's great. It rhymes. I'm a rock and roll party cowboy, and I ain't gonna read no Tolstoy. And that's just The Darkness all over. It's just tongue-in-cheek lyrics. They don't take themselves too seriously, even though they're a great band. Lots of great tunes on here. I Hate Myself. It's got a really great horn section running through it. There's a country and western edge track called Hot on My Tail, which is all about farts. And they're not just a pastiche, they're a great band. Obviously, a lot of the lyrics are sort of really tongue-in-cheek and quite daft, but the songs are great. The band is such a great, solid performing band, so tight, and there's so many catchy hooks and blistering solos in here. It's the most fun you'll have this year on a new release album. It's just superb. There's loads of great tracks here. Walking Through Fire is a great track, and Mortal Dread, which talks about the perils of getting older and needing the toilet as soon as you get up. And it's just a great album, really catchy, really fun. And as Justin Riley says on Walking Through Fire, we never stop making hit albums. It's just that no one buys them anymore. But you should. This is great. The Darkness and Dreams on Toast. In at number 13, I've got to say, got to be one of my favourite bands. Absolutely loved them. I was gutted when they went on hiatus, even though they've been making solo projects and things in between. They reformed for touring purposes over the last couple of years, and I was really hoping they'd bring more new material out, and they have. And this is 13, Stereolab. Instant holograms on metal film. So basically, I think it's their 11th album, or they've made so many you lose track with all the compilations and things like that, the singles that they put out as well. But it's the first one they've made in 15 years. It's produced by Cooper Crane of another electronic band, Bitchin' Bajas. And it's just great. They don't try and reinvent the wheel on this. It's more or less, it goes on from where they left off, but gloriously so. It's got everything you want from a Stereolab album, or Stereolab in general. It's got quirky song titles, check. You've got mystical plosives. You've got Melody is a Wound. You've got Electrified Teeny Bop, SM Plastic Creeping Eruption. You've got Laetitia Sadier's gorgeously beautiful vocals, check. You've got really cool 60s orientated retro synthesizer melodies, check. You've got political lyrics that don't really make much sense, check. It's just everything that you want from a Stereolab album. It's all there. Songs in English and French, check. You know, everything you want from Stereolab is here. So they've not tried to do anything particularly different here. It is just a continuation, but gloriously so. And listening to this, it just makes me realise how much I've missed them. It's a great album. It's got, like I say, it's got everything you want from Stereolab. But there is a new element. There's male vocals as well on here, male backing vocals, which is a new twist on Stereolab's sound. But aside from that, it's everything you would want. It's just such a great album as well. So let's hope it's not the only one that they make during their comebacks. So yeah, absolutely love Stereolab, and this album is, you know, it wasn't a disappointment at all. It's a great album, well worth checking out. So that's 13, Stereolab, Instant Holograms on Metal Film, and Karamak even likes it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to do a video here. Yeah, my favourite albums of the year. Yeah. What are you doing, Mac? You get sort of getting in there. Oi, don't go telling anyone what number 1 is yet. All right. So in at 12, we have the New York band Florist and their album Jellywish. Now, Florist are based around the talents of Emily Sprague, who's a singer-songwriter. She writes gorgeous, heartfelt and sincere, melancholic songs. A lot of the songs are acoustic based, but they have loads of melody in them. And the rest of the bands provide sort of like ambient textures to the songs. There's like organ swells or gentle percussion or field recordings, but the arrangements are kept quite simple and they don't get in the way of the songs. And the songs are such gloriously heartfelt and sincere about the world and relationships, and it's sort of one of those albums that it tugs at your heartstrings every time you listen to it, especially the closing track, Gloom Designs, which talks about how time moves on, and you know, when you lose somebody and the world changes and even simple things change. And it's just a glorious singer-songwriter album. It's really melancholic, but it's never downbeat. The songs are quite they're sort of like gentle and sincere. It's never particularly depressing. It's just more melancholic, and it's sort of like, it's almost like a Nick Drake type approach to songwriting. The sadness is there, but it doesn't overwhelm everything, and it's a really beautiful, heartfelt album. I can't recommend it enough. It's just, you know, really simple songs, but really beautifully done. A lot of emotion behind them, and yeah, really love that album. So that's Florist and Jellywish. Coming in at number 11 and just missing out on the top 10, another favourite artist of mine, and this is Richard Dawson, and this is his album End of the Middle. Now, Richard Dawson, I suppose you could call his music in the strange folk type genre. He comes from like a folk-based storytelling tradition, but he's got a very idiosyncratic way of singing, and his guitar playing is very sort of off-kilter. But he's such a superb songwriter. He's one of those songwriters who's got a great gift for detail in his lyrics. And he's made albums about medieval times. He's made albums about imagined worlds and the future. But this one is set in the modern present. So there's lots of suburban stories here, but it's given his sort of eye for detail. And all the songs on here are stories, pretty mundane on the face of it, but you get the impression that all the songs have something else to them. They're about bigger things, or perhaps they're about more than they suggest. So it's really clever songwriting at play here. So, for example, you've got a song called Not, which is about a couple attending somebody's wedding reception, and there's some really funny detailed lyrics on there, and it's about a guy who has a breakdown in the middle of the ceremony. You've got a song about a removals van, which is about a guy moving house with his young family, and he reflects on his childhood and how he was brought up. There's a song called Bullies, where a guy reflects on his childhood and how he was bullied through school, and it turns out that his son in turn ends up becoming a bully. And it's just the really, on the face of it, really sort of self-contained stories. But the clever thing about his songwriting is all these stories, they have hinted backstories, but they're never fully explained. There's a hint of them. So all these songs are very much, you sort of like you're spying on an event in people's lives, but you're not given the full story, you're not given the backstory, just given hints of it. And all these stories are very much in the now, so you get that snapshot and that's it. And it's a really clever way of songwriting, I think, and storytelling. You're just there for that moment, and then you're off again. You don't know what's happened to them previous, you don't know what happened to them after. And I just think that's a really clever way of songwriting. So he's got his traditional idiosyncratic way of singing, his off-kilter approach to the guitar, all based in the folk tradition. A lot of it's acoustic with a few blasts of clarinet and things like that. The closing track, More Than Real, is a real departure for the rest of the songs on the album because it's very synthesizer based. Again, it's a gorgeous bit of storytelling. It's a duet with his wife who plays the synths on the track. And it's about a story of a father who gives birth to a daughter, and he was saying he's going to change his ways and he's going to put his daughter first, but all the time he thinks he's failing. And then the song switches to his daughter's point of view, seeing his dad in the hospital at the end of his life, and it's obviously he has done something right because the daughter's reflects on how much she loves him and what he's done for their life. It's just a really beautiful, affecting piece of storytelling, and it's a really departure because, like I say, it's got a real synthesizer base, whereas a lot of the other tracks are like acoustic based or electric guitar based, so it's got a nice sort of twist at the end of it. But yeah, I can't recommend Richard Dawson enough. Like I say, he's got a real knack for storytelling, and if you've never tried him any of his albums before, this is really worth checking out and seeing if you can fit into his world, see if you enjoy his world. But all of his albums are worth seeking, but again, he's played a blinder on this one. Another great album for this year. And that is number 11. So on my next video, whenever that may be, I'll be counting down from 10 to number 1, and hopefully you'll see some more things that you'll like there. Take a while to go through this video, honestly. Even though the 20 to 11, there's still some great albums here. I think the ones that tend to be at the end of the list tend to be not given as much importance, but I think they're all cool. I think they're all worth checking out. So thanks for watching the video again, and I hope you'll join me for the second part where I count down the top 10 albums of 2025. Thank you very much for watching. Midge out.